Recording in progress.
Okay, good evening. So, welcome you all to start the journey of grade 6 EdXL Science, right? Um, so, uh, though you have started the work in your schools in the month of September, here at Guru Nivasa, we are starting the sessions on January, so don't worry, you will be able to obtain a speedy revision related to the lessons, right? Uh, so, first of all, can you please show me the books that you are learning by now? It is because in different international schools they follow different books, though it is the edexcel curriculum, right? That's why I wanted to see what are the books that you are following at the moment at schools. Okay, right, that's your book. Okay, okay. So actually in though the book is different, uh, this is primary science grade 6. So there are certain specifications for a particular grade, so we can just follow the topics and make our own content, right? So we will prepare you according to those specifications, then you will be able to face the exams as well without a problem. So the knowledge is very important, so we will give you the knowledge, right? And also after that you will be able to continue uh, in the next grades also, because you have the basic knowledge. Here we are laying the foundation actually, so you have learnt in grade 1 to 5 also. From grade 6 actually it is something like a milestone that you are moving on from the primary grades, right? Okay. So if I introduce myself, I am Utpala Vichedasa. Mm, I started my teaching career at Royal College Colombo in year 2010 actually. That is government teaching. Even before that I have conducted private tuition classes like this. Uh, they were conducted physically. If I talk about my educational background, I completed my first degree at University of California in biological science, and after that I completed the postgraduate diploma in education, and then to be further qualified as a teacher, I completed the Master of Education as well, right? So I have conducted lessons in all three areas, that means edexcel, the three curricula, local, edexcel and Cambridge as well. So actually the subject content is the same, uh, but the depth to which that we learn those is somewhat different in different curricula. So accordingly we teach the students, right? So today since it is the first day, I would like to just present, we will just discuss certain basic topics, right? Then from the coming week onwards we can just be prepared for the lessons in an orderly manner, right? So today I am going to discuss certain topics uh, with you. That means the surface knowledge will be gained, right? Is it okay? Okay. Hari. So you have learned about the cell, you have heard about the concept of cell, Actually, the life begins with a cell, isn't it? We call the cell as the basic structural and functional unit of life, right? Whether the organism is either unicellular or multicellular, the basic unit is the cell. And you know, the cell consists of different organelles. Inside the cell we find different organelles, and these organelles are responsible for different functions. So you may have learnt about the nucleus, and there are mitochondria in order to generate energy. If it is a plant cell, we find chloroplasts. Then we can mention about the endoplasmic reticulum, right? If ribosomes are attached to it, we call it as the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Sometimes the ribosomes are freely available inside the cytoplasm, right? The outermost cover, the cell membrane, then the cytoplasm, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum. Since the ribosomes are connected to it, we can call it as the rough endoplasmic reticulum, and the cell, right? Then in addition to that, there are so many other cellular organelles. I just mentioned about the main organelles. So here we find the division of labor. What do you mean by the division of labor? Now at home also we just divide the functions among the family members. Then the work becomes easier and efficient, and as most probably we will not miss certain tasks at home. You are responsible for cleaning this area, and you are responsible for folding the clothes. Likewise, we assign tasks among the family members, right? Likewise, in a cell also, these organelles are responsible for performing different functions. As a whole, they all contribute for the proper existence, proper functioning of a cell, right? Okay. And then we can just enlarge the nucleus. So you know, there are few double membraned organelles. The nucleus also consists of two membranes. We call it as the nuclear envelope, right? Nuclear envelope is there. It consists of two membranes, and inner to the nuclear envelope you find the nucleolus, and we find the chromatin network. The genetic material is available inside, right? So this genetic material is responsible for the transmission of characteristics from one generation to the next. Transmission of characteristics from one generation to the next, right? Okay. So in my classes, you have to turn on the video, and you have to respond. You have to ask questions, and you have to answer my questions as well. Yes, Sihas. Sihas, you got late, no? What happened? Yes, Sihas. What's your school, Pute? Sihas, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Sihas? Right. No response. Okay. Right. So I was mentioning about the concept of the cell. Uh, there are different cellular organelles, right? So life begins with a cell. Then I mentioned about the genetic material, no? So genetic material is responsible for transmission of characteristics from one generation to the next. For example, now we all have obtained certain characteristics from our parents as well as from the grandparents. So grandparents, parents, then us. Likewise, there are number of generations. So the characteristics are taken from one generation to the next by means of um, this type of genetic material. Actually we call it as heredity. Later on you will be able to learn about the process of heredity as well, heredity and inheritance, right? Inheritance. uh, then we can talk about reproduction. Yes, Sihas, you joined late. Actually we were discussing about certain topics in science since it is the first day today. What's your school, Bhute?
Lyceum.
Lyceum. Which branch? Nogegada?
Bumper.
Gampaha. Okay. So can you just show me the book that you are doing there? The primary science, right? චුට්ටක් පෙන්නන්න බලන්න. The cover page, Pute? Right. Okay. Okay. The primary science. Okay. Thank you. So Pute, today since it is the first day, I have just taken certain topics in science and we will discuss those, right? I just mentioned since you joined late. Okay. So then we will move on to say, now I mentioned about the nucleus, then the genetic material. Then shall we talk about the reproductive process? What do you mean by reproduction? Yes. What do you mean by reproduction? Yes. Kian Pute, what do you mean by reproduction? As you feel.
Producing something.
Yes, Pute?
Producing something.
Producing something. Hari. Now we'll take a certain plant. We'll take a certain plant, right? We'll say that it is a mango plant, mango tree, right? It produces tasty mangoes, right? So these mangoes will be fallen on the ground. Then there is a seed inside. ඇතුළේ තියෙනවා නේද seed එකක්. There is a seed inside. Right. So if you just put this seed under soil, what will happen? You put the seed under soil. Right. Then what happens? Yes, you can just unmute and say. Apute? මොකද වෙන්නේ? Yes, once you put the seed under the soil, it will
Growing.
It will we call it as it will germinate. එයා පැලවෙනවා, ප්‍රරෝහණය වෙනවා නේද? It germinates in order to produce a new plant, right? It germinates in order to produce a new plant. Then after a few days you will be able to obtain this type of a tiny mango plant, right? There may be leaves, right? And there are roots. Okay. Now what has happened? This mother plant, this mango tree has produced a new mango plant, right? So this is the process that we call as reproduction. The adult has produced a young one, right? That is what we call as reproduction. We'll take another example. Mm, we'll take a hen, right? Okay, so it lays eggs, right? It lays eggs. Okay, then once this egg is hatched, when this egg is hatched, now it is, so I'll say, inside a nest or on hay. පිදුරු උඩ තමයි දැන් තියෙන්නේ. Then it will be hatched. And what happens? Who is produced? කවුද එන්නේ? Yes. A chick will be produced, neither. A chick will be born, right? Then the mother hen has produced a tiny chick, right? Then once again we call it as the reproduction. So the existing organism produces another organism. Reproduction. Reproduction. Right? Is it important? Is it something important? Yes. Why? Why do you think that it is important? ඇයි ඔයා හිතන්නේ අක්ක වැදගත් කියලා? Why do you think?
Because it is part of the reproduction.
It is a part of the reproduction. I am asking why reproduction is important. If there was no anything like reproduction, if this mother plant dies, will there be any other plants further? If there was no something like reproduction, no. Then this mango plants will be over after the mother plant is dead, right? Then in the case of hen, if the mother hen dies, if there was no process like reproduction, that would be the end of this type of hens, right? Therefore, reproduction is something very important. Okay. Then, who are the living organisms? Can you mention the categories of living organisms? Yes.
Animals.
Animals, very good. Yes. Then yes, animals, okay. Who else?
People.
Okay, biologically we consider people also under the category animals. අපි ජීව විද්‍යාත්මකව මිනිස්සුත් අර animals කියන category එකටම තමයි දාන්නේ. ජීව විද්‍යාත්මකව biologically. Right? What else? Now you mentioned about animals. Right. Who else? තව කවුද ඉන්නේ?
Birds.
Birds. Birds also come under animals. They are also animals. What about the plants? They are also living organisms, right? Yes. Plants. And there is another group of living organisms. Do you know? They cannot be seen with our naked eyes. අපිට පේන්නේ නැහැ. We need a microscope to see them. Yes?
Organisms.
Microorganisms. Microorganisms. These are the three categories of living organisms: plants, animals, and microorganisms. Right? So, what is the difference? What is the difference of those? Hari. I will share a video related to this, so you have to watch it, and after that you have to tell me what are the characteristics of living organisms. Okay?
Hey, video adadına teacher.
Woo! Adapted Mind Math! Come explore the site with me. I'm in first.
Living and non-living things for kids. The world is full of living and non-living things. How are these things alike? How are they different? Were all non-living things alive at some point in time? There are so many questions, and today we are going to answer them together. When you think of something that is living, what comes to mind? Animals, plants, or insects might have made your list because they are all alive. And all living things have special traits or characteristics that set them apart from non-living things. What do you think some of those might be? Living things do three main things that non-living things cannot do: grow, take in nutrients, and reproduce. Let's start with grow. Have you ever seen a chick before? What about a tiny plant sprout? Do these things stay the same, or do they change over time? That is right. They change and get bigger. They grow. A chick becomes a hen, and a sprout becomes a fully grown plant. On to the next one. What do you think taking in nutrients means? Simply put, it means eating, drinking, or absorbing all of the nutrients that an organism needs to survive. What are nutrients? They are what living things need in order to grow and thrive. Stuff like food and water. And sunlight if you are a plant. Animals and plants take in nutrients in different ways. And so do tiny organisms. Here is an interesting fact. Mold on cheese is a living thing because it actually feeds off of the cheese, grows, and needs nutrients in order to live. In this case, the cheese is the nutrient that the mold needs to survive. Pretty neat, right? Last, living things reproduce or make more of their own kind. Non-living things cannot reproduce. In addition to these three main characteristics, most living things also breathe, have senses like sight, taste, touch, sound, and smell, and they move too. But there are some non-living things that also move, like fire and water. Now that we have talked about living things, let's turn our attention to non-living things. Non-living things are not and have never been alive, which means that when something living dies, it does not become non-living. It is just dead. As you can probably guess, non-living things are pretty much the opposite of living things. They do not grow, eat, reproduce, breathe, or have senses. They do not need nutrients to survive. Non-living objects can be in solid, liquid, or gas form. Take a car, for example. A car has never been alive. It does not eat, grow, or reproduce. And the only time it moves is if a person drives it. Think you can spot the differences between something that is living and something that is non-living? Let's find out. Which one of these is non-living? Did you say the stuffed animal? You are right. Okay, here are two plants. But wait, one of these plants grew from a seed and the other one is made of plastic. Which one is living? Did you say this one? You are right. Ready for one more? We have a crystal and a rock. Is one of these objects living? Nope. Both are non-living. You are awesome. Now that you are an expert on living and non-living things, let's review. Fill in the blank. Living things can grow, take in nutrients, and blank. Did you say reproduce? True or false? Once a living thing dies, it becomes a non-living thing. False. Non-living things have never been alive. Name a non-living thing that can move. Fire, water, or a car. True or false? Non-living things can be solids, liquids, or gases. That's true. Great work, everybody. Everywhere you go, there are living and non-living things. Living things grow, take in nutrients, and reproduce. Non-living things do not. The next time you are playing with friends, make up a game and guess which item is living and which is non-living, kind of like we did today. And always remember to have...
Okay. So, can you tell me what are the characteristics of living organisms?
Reproduction,
Yes, the living organisms reproduce. Okay.
energy,
Sorry?
energy,
Energy. Energy means they produce energy. What is the process by which they gain energy?
growth, germinator growth,
They grow. Okay. Then
movement,
movement. Please wait. I will list out the characteristics that you have mentioned. Characteristics of living organisms. Of living organisms. Okay. Right. You mentioned about growth. They grow. The living organisms grow. Right. If we take a plant or if we consider an animal, they grow continuously. Right. The plants grow continuously and the animals have a limited growth. Right. Animals have a limited growth. Okay. Then You mentioned about reproduction. They reproduce. They reproduce. Reproduction. Then what do we need for the growth and the survival? Hmm? What do we need? We need? Yes. Did you have your lunch today?
Yes, teacher.
Then what do we need?
Energy.
We need energy, okay. So we obtain energy. First of all, we have to obtain the materials, food. We have to take the food, right? That thing we call as nutrition. Nutrition. We eat food, right? From that we gain nutrients. We gain nutrients, right? Then these nutrients are important for the production of energy. That process is known as respiration. You mentioned about energy. Respiration is the process by which we get energy. We get energy by means of respiration. Okay? Hari. Then I can remember you mentioned about movement, right? So the plants can move. Plants show movements, right? The animals, they can move from one place to another. That thing we call as, yes, what do you call it? Now I can move from one place to another. Most of the animals can. There are a few animals that cannot move from one place to another. But majority of the animals can. So what do you call it? Yes? We give a special name for that rather than movement. What is it? Yes?
Movement.
Movement, Hari. I am asking Pute. When an organism moves from one place to another, what do you call it?
Walking.
නෑ පුතේ අපි ඒකට කියනවා we call it as locomotion. So the animals can locomote, right? They can locomote. They can move from one place to another. But the plants, they cannot do this. So this thing we call as locomotion. Locomotion. Hari. Now you have mentioned about growth, reproduction, nutrition, respiration, movement, right? These are some of the living characteristics. Hari. There are some more. Okay. Can you put the topic? First of all, write the date. Then put the topic and write down these things. Characteristics of living organisms. I can't see you. I can see the ceiling or something. Okay. Still not. Now I can see. Take this down, Pute, quickly. Yes, finished. Have you finished?
No, teacher. I can't.
Okay,
Teacher, last one.
right.
Okay, teacher.
Hari. Then we can mention the three types of living organisms.
Okay, teacher.
Right? We can mention about the three types of living organisms. Who are they? Hmm? What are the three types of living organisms? As we mentioned earlier, you can write the three groups of living organisms.
Fungi.
Ah, okay, Bhuti. We mentioned earlier living organisms are of three types basically. What are they? You told me. Yes.
Growth, reproduction.
Hari. So there are plants. There are plants, animals, and also microorganisms. Microorganisms. So what is the simplest unit of all these three categories? At the beginning we were talking about it. Yes.
Microorganisms.
Right. No, Pute. Now you consider a building made out of bricks. ගඩොල් වලින් හදපු ලොකු building එකක් තියෙනවා. So what is the smallest unit that have contributed for the formation of that large building? Smallest unit. That is the basic unit. So I told the building is made out of bricks. So what is the basic unit? There.
Bricks.
That is a single brick. Yes. Now, when you are small, you may have used building blocks to make different structures, right? Imagine that you have made a ship out of building blocks. So, what is the smallest unit there? Basic unit there. That is a
Building block.
building block. Good. Single building block. Likewise, I am asking in those organisms, in these three types of organisms, what is the smallest unit?
Plants. Plants.
Now think of our body. So our bodies are made out of large number of cells. Right? So there are several millions of cells. Right? So what is the smallest unit that have made our body? නෑ පුතේ අපේ ශරීරය හැදිලා තියෙන පුංචිම දේ ඇහුවොත් මේ plants, animals, microorganisms ඒ හැමෝම පටන් ගන්න එක දෙයකින් මොකක්ද? What is that? That is the What about animals? Have you heard about the concept cell? Since you joined late, we were discussing about the cell earlier. Cell, do you know the concept of cell? Hmm? දන්නව නේද? Have you heard about the cell? Cell එක ගැන අහලා තියෙනව නේද? Hmm?
Yes, teacher.
Ah,
Yes, teacher.
right. So all these three types of organisms are made out of cells.
Cell.
Right. All these are made out of cells. Right. So now I told in our bodies there are several millions of cells. So how does it happen with a single cell? How does the number of cells increase? කොහොමද වැඩි වෙන්නේ cells ගණන? That is by means of cell division. The cells divide. Cell division. Cells divide. Right? Cells divide. So the single cell divides and form, we'll say 2 cells at the beginning, and then it will further divide into we'll say 4 cells, right? And it will end up with a cluster or a group of cells. Group of cells. Group of cells like this. Right? We all have begun like this. අපි හැමෝම මෙහෙම තමයි පටන් අරන් තියෙන්නේ. Right? A single cell, 2 cells, 4 cells. Likewise, the cells have been divided in order to make a multicellular organism. Multicellular means an organism with a large number of cells. Right? Multicellular organisms are made out of large number of cells, like us. So that happens because of a process known as cell division. Right? Hari. Before I clean the board, you can just take this down as well. These are the 3 categories of living organisms. Basic unit of living organisms is the cell. Is the cell. Basic unit of living organisms is the cell. Hari. Then you can mention how large number of cells occur by means of cell division. ලස්සනට ලියා ගන්න. Finished?
Teacher, I'm writing the multi.
Okay.
Okay, teacher.
Hari. Then now I mentioned certain things about the cell, living organisms. Then actually I would like to mention about matter. Right. So today I told you I'm just taking few topics and discussing with you now. අපි පොඩි topics ටිකක් වෙන වෙනම අරගෙන අදට කතා කරනවා since it is the first day. Right? Okay. Then what do you know about matter? What do you know about matter? Yes. නද දන්නේ about
Solid liquid gas.
Very good. There are three states of matter. There are three states of matter. Those are solid, liquid and gas. Okay, good. So what do you mean by matter? Yes, what do you mean by matter? Yes? මොනවද matter කියන්නේ? Yes, things that now think of your book, right? It has a mass, neither. It occupies space also. It has a mass and it occupies space. එයා ඉඩක් ගන්නවා නේද? And it has a mass. Right? Think of your water bottle. The water has occupied the space inside your bottle. And even the bottle occupies the space on your table. Right? So what do you mean by matter then? Yes?
Yes.
Things
Occupied.
Things that occupy space.
Occupied space in something.
Hari. And they are having a mass, no? They are having a mass. Things that occupy space and having a mass are known as matter. Right? Then as you told, there are three states of matter. Three states of matter. Three states of matter. What are the three states of matter?
Solid, liquid, gas.
Yes. Solid. Then liquid and gas.
Yes.
Okay. Hari. Then now we mentioned that the living organisms are made out of cells. The smallest unit by which the living organisms are made is the cell. Likewise, what about matter? What is the smallest unit which makes matter? Yes. What's the smallest unit which makes matter?
Cell.
No, Pute. That is about living organisms, no? The matter is made out of what? Matter is made out of? Yes. Have you heard about the atom? Yes. Matter is made out of?
Atom.
Matter is made of atoms. Atoms. Right. So have you heard about elements, compounds? Have you heard about these? අහලා තියෙනවද? Elements and compounds? No. Hari. Now, if we take, have you heard about different types of gases in the atmosphere?
Yes.
What are they?
Nitrogen,
right.
oxygen, hydrogen.
Okay, good. So these are actually we call these as molecules. Nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen in the atmosphere, they exist as molecules, right? Then have you heard about elements like sodium? I will forget about sodium. You have heard about gold, iron, isn't it?
Yes. Yes,
These are
teacher.
known as elements. These are known as elements, right? So the actually matter can be further divided based on their composition. මේ මොනවෙන්ද හැදිලා තියෙන්නේ කියන එක අනුව we can divide them into pure substances and mixtures. Pure substances and mixtures. So actually elements come under pure substances. Now carbon dioxide is a chemical compound. Right, water H2O is the chemical formula of it, so it is also a chemical compound. You have heard about this. Have you heard about something known as sulfur dioxide? It is also a gas. Have you heard? Have you
Yes,
heard?
teacher.
Right. So this matter can be divided based on the composition as pure substances and mixtures. Pure substances and mixtures. So don't worry, we will discuss about these in detail, right? Pure substances and mixtures. So these pure substances, we can say there are elements, compounds, right? Elements, compounds. Now, the food that we consume is a mixture, right? It's a mixture of different components. Even the air is a mixture. Now you mentioned there are gases like carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen. So the air is a mixture, right? So when you are making an orange juice, right, you need a drink. So you decided to make an orange juice. There you mix certain things, sugar, water, then orange juice is mixed, or you can use an artificial made cordial like thing, right? You have to mix those and make a mixture, right? Hari, those are the mixtures that we mean. Hari, so there are different types of things. So this is now you know, once we say science, we have to discuss about biology, chemistry and physics. Now first we discussed something related to biology. Now we are discussing something related to chemistry. Hari, මේකත් ලියා ගන්න note down this. Then after that I will share a small video as the last thing for today related to matter. අක්කා එකපාරට ඇවිල්ලා කතා කරන්න එපා මේ මයික් එක ඔන් කරලා තිබුණේ.
Okay, teacher, done.
Okay, now I will share this video related to matter, right? Watch it.
Matter for kids. You may not think about it a lot, but everything in the world, including you, takes up space. The food you love to eat, the drinks you grab to quench your thirst when you come in from playing outside, the desk you sit at in your room, the pet you love, the bed you sleep in, and even the air you breathe. All of it takes up space. Of course, it doesn't all look the same and feel the same, smell the same, or even behave the same. And some stuff that takes up space, like the air you breathe, you can't see or touch at
පුතා
all.
කෑ ගහන්න
We have a
එපා.
word to describe all the stuff in the world that takes up space. Matter. Matter is all around us, whether you can see it, feel it, touch it, smell it, or not. And that's what today's lesson's all about. States of matter. No, not states that matter. That's a geography lesson for another time. States of matter. Okay, so think about it. How many different ways can matter exist? Some matter you can hold in your
කෑ
hand,
ගහන්න එපා
like a ball or a
ළමයා.
book. Some matter you can feel but you can't really hold on to, like water or soda. And some matter, like air or helium in a balloon, you can't see or feel or touch at all. So there are 3 different states of matter: solids, liquids, and gases. And it's pretty easy to tell them apart. I mean, you can't drink a solid, right? And you can't hold on to a liquid. And a gas, they're all around you. But you wouldn't even know it because you can't see them. You might be tempted to think that gases aren't as important as solids or liquids. But without gases, none of us would even exist. Do me a solid and think about the chair or couch you're sitting on right now.
එතන මම
What's it like?
බැහැනේ කරන්නේ
Does it have a definite
නංගා.
shape?
මං ක්ලාස්
Is it
එකේ
soft,
ඉන්නේ.
hard, a little of both? Can you pick it up? Does it make a sound if you tap on it? What about the computer or device you're watching this video on? Or the bread you ate last time you had a sandwich? Solids are things you can pick up, hold, and feel the shape of. Solids always have a shape. They can be hard, smooth, rough, or soft. They come in all different sizes, from as small as a marble to as big as a mountain. And you can hold them in your hands if they'll fit. Now, let's talk about liquids. The most common liquid is water, but there are a lot of other liquids all around you. Ever had a bad cough and been given cough syrup? That's a liquid. So is vinegar, vegetable oil, chocolate syrup, and the cleaning fluids your parents might use to tidy up the house. The gasoline your parents put in their car or lawnmower? Yep, that's a liquid. So is the sweat that comes out of your body when you run around a lot. Of course, a lot of the liquids we just mentioned are partially water, but they're still liquids. So, can you tell me what all liquids have in common? First, they will always fill the bottom of a container if you pour them in, and they'll take the shape of that container as you continue to pour. They usually have a smooth surface. They can be really hot or cold or somewhere in between, and they don't have a specific size. A liquid like water can fill an entire ocean or the smallest crack in the sidewalk. Okay, now let's talk about gases. Gases are some of the most interesting of all types of matter because they're all around you, but you can't see them. A gas is invisible, has no shape or size, can fill any size container, and has no surface and moves around easily. Oxygen is a gas that makes up part of the air around you that you breathe in. Other gases in the air are nitrogen and argon, not to mention CO2, or carbon dioxide, which is a gas that you breathe out. Carbon dioxide gas gets absorbed by the trees around us. Other gases you might be familiar with are helium and propane. Helium is used to fill balloons, and since it's lighter than air, a helium-filled balloon floats upward. If you've ever seen your parents cooking barbecue on a gas grill, the gas they're using is propane. It kind of goes without saying, but certain matter is easier to go through than other matter. You can swim in a liquid more easily than in a solid. Ever tried swimming in a ball pit? And you can run through a gas like air much more easily than you can run through a liquid or a solid. Here's where the subject of states of matter gets even more interesting. Believe it or not, there's some matter that comes in all three forms. Think about water, for example. Most of the time you think of water as a liquid, but when you freeze it, what happens? It becomes ice, a solid. And what happens when water boils? Ever watched your mom cook a pot of pasta and see the steam rising from the pot? That's water as gas. Here are some other examples that you're probably familiar with. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's had to rush on a hot day to quickly eat an ice cream cone or popsicle before it starts dripping down my arm. When a frozen treat melts, it's because it's transitioning from a solid to a liquid. You can actually smell things turning from a solid to a gas too. Ever smelled mothballs from across the room? Those mothballs are a solid, but the smell hitting your nose, that's the gas that the mothballs are emitting. Same is true when you smell cookies baking or a candle burning. I don't know about you, but I prefer the smell of baking cookies to the smell of mothballs. So, there you have it. Now you're one step closer to understanding the matter that makes up all the stuff in the universe. Wasn't learning about states of matter a gas? Solid!
Hope you had fun learning with us. Visit us at learnbright.org.
Okay, so did you get an idea about matter further?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so today we were discussing about certain topics in science. So as you are doing the primary science book, from next week onwards we will have lessons, right? As it is the first day, we had an introduction. Did you get something important today?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Okay then. See you on next week. Then stay safe and have a nice week. Okay, bye.
Bye. Thank you, teacher.
Okay, you're welcome.